So since we just started our new YouTube channel, I thought it would be fitting to take you all around the farm so that as the videos go along, you'll recognize the different places out here. So let me see if I can get a good picture of it. So right here we have our chicken coop. Currently there are only animals on the farm. Hopefully that'll be changing this spring when we include cattle into the mix. But for now, this is our farm for right now. So we've got approximately about 65 chickens. Let's see, here we go. So I just did a cleaning out in here. But the bedding needs to be changed on the floor again. But we actually built this chicken coop from scratch last fall, summer fall-ish. It's actually, I don't know if you can see it super well. We might be able to see it better outside. Let me see if I can take you to a good spot. So right here, I don't know if you can kind of see, this whole thing was actually built out of pallets. So we just collected pallets, and the foundation is pallets, the whole thing pallets. So it actually provides a really stable foundation for this thing, and it's lasted through fall and summer, and we've had some really bad winds out here this winter, and it's been holding up. Of course, the plastic is temporary. You can see this side. Let me go to the pasture. This is what it will eventually look like once we get the siding all up. And as you can see, we've got some of it already up. And I think this wall and these areas tend to be a little better protected because we have that up, which is a no-brainer. So this is our chicken pasture. So right now they're free-ranging because the weather's kind of nice out, so we're trying to take advantage of that fact. So take you around here a little bit. These are some perching areas for the chickens. Over here we actually have our compost, which we've got two places that we do compost, which is here in the trough, and we've got one back behind the garden. You can't see it really well right now though because of the fog, but I actually just emptied a bunch of the chicken stuff in here. You can see we've got lots of manure, lots of compost here. So in the spring, once the weather gets better, we're gonna have great gardening manure to use. But you can see it's really full. It does have some snow on it, but hopefully that'll melt soon. All right, let's go over here. So this is what we call our quarantine coop. It's not in the best of conditions right now, but thankfully we haven't had to quarantine any chickens yet. So hopefully we'll be using this to actually breed chickens this spring and summer. So our plan is to breed them and then butcher some, sell meat birds, sell egg-laying chickens. So yeah, I think that was about the first chicken coop we started out with. As you can see, it's significantly smaller to the one that was built. But all right, let me take you to the barn. I'll warn you, the barn is not in any good condition yet. We're still working on that. We've only lived here at this farm for nigh on to 3 years. 3 years this August. So right now the barn's being used more as a storage space than to house animals, but very large. This is Ethan. He's our brother. He works on tractors and runs all the tractors.
Oh, you taking a
We're
video?
we're doing a video for Providence. Yeah, we're doing a video for Providence Acres.
Oh.
Help all the YouTube supporters out there. So you can see we've got some stalls in here, and like I warned you guys, it's not in the best of conditions right now. But we were told that years ago this was actually a cow stall. So it's hard to see it really well in the lighting. Yep, this was the cow stall.
The one right there was a horse stall. The one way
Yep.
there was a chicken stall.
We've got 3 stalls here. This one, right now, as you can see, holds our farming equipment. But this is our horse stall. Hopefully soon we might be able to open this up to use for cows. It's got its own door here. I know you can't see it very well, but own door that goes out to the back. I know the lighting's terrible in here, but you can't see it hardly at all. But this is our old chicken coop. We've never used it for chickens, thankfully. Personally, if the chickens are far away from the house, you tend to lose more due to predators. So ours is nice and close to the house, as you can see. So we actually don't have a problem with predators very bad up here. We have our pole barn over here. So that one's almost brand new. It's been up for about a year. So that was a cool new addition to that. Let me show you guys over here. This is the old corn crib. So, hey Ethan, what year was our that barn in the house built again?
House was 1904. Barn was 1910.
Okay, 1910. So, of course, like this is many years ago. Easily over 100. Yep, over 100 years old. So they actually used to use this corn crib, which I actually have not seen a corn crib for many years at these old farmhouses that we've got in the area. And I'd love to show you guys, but of course we've got fog today, so you can't see anything. But most of these old farmhouses, they don't have an existing corn crib still, but ours just happened to. And of course you can see we're not using it for corn. That's our scrap lumber that we use for building stuff around here. We've got our grapevine right here. This used to be the old cattle fence. So out here was the cattle pasture. So this would have been the fence, and you can still see some of the existing fence over here, but somebody was growing grapes here when we first moved, and they're Concord grapes. Delicious. You have to pick your grapes though after the first frost. If you do it before then, not ripe. And once the first frost comes, you have to pick them kind of fast, otherwise they go bad easily, or the birds and other animals will get to them before you do. So here's the, you can see better over here. This was the cattle fence. I am assuming that a gate actually used to be right here in the middle. So this probably was a gate at one point. But this is the cattle fence that's still left. Of course, as you can see, it's kind of fallen apart. Unfortunately, the people who lived here before us, there's a little gate to get in. The people that lived here before us did not take very good care of it, which was just really sad. So, but yeah, and it goes all the way down to the end of our property. The word around here actually is we have a house about half a mile down the road, and the people actually that lived here before us, they bought the place from a lady named Kathy Vernon and the Vernon family. Or I'm sorry, not the Vernon family. She's Kathy Vernon now. She used to be Kathy Kildee. And the word around here was that this house actually belonged to the Kildee family. And the house at the other end of the road, half a mile away, was her uncle's place. And those were the only 2 farmhouses here. So all the rest of the property out here, acres, that was all belonging to 2 houses out here. So the rest of them have been built over the course of time, but our 2 houses are the original existing farms out here. So of course we don't have all the land that we did before the other houses were built. So we actually just have about 3.5 acres. So we're looking to buy some more land around here so that we can start getting cows and moving up the ladder. So here you can see a little bit of the cattle fence, the existing cattle fence still, and I will show you. I apologize if you guys can't see very well. I'm right now I'm in the old cattle pasture right now. So we're trying to grass seed this so that we can actually put it back to its original form as a cattle pasture, hopefully in the summer and spring. This is our gun range out here. We actually do have a gun range out here, and we'll do all those sports in like the summertime, tons of fun. I'll show you guys. We own like half of this area. This is actually a creek. So, all this property along, all the way down, not all the way down, just right where our property ends, and to the other side where it ends over there. But half this creek is actually ours, and excuse me, we've been told all that other land across the creek that at one point did belong to us. So it belonged to this house. Unfortunately, you know, other houses are built, so the land gets divvied up. But that actually was original to our house. So we've got a creek here, and my personal guess is that this creek, back in the day, it was used, and the cattle would come down and drink from it, and would spend their day out here. So I don't think I'm going to take you down there this time, just because it's really mucky and watery and wet out there. But our neighbor next door, he's probably the closest neighbor we have. He owns most of the property that kind of combines with ours. So we kind of work together as far as, you know, who's going to use what and everything. Just because the way our properties were divvied up it's not very intelligent. So ours kind of makes, and I can show you in a sec, our property kind of makes a zigzag. So there's no clean rectangular or square shape. It looks like we've had deer out here. You see that? Pretty sure that's deer. Alright, and I'll just show you the barn because it just looks so cool. So you can see we do not have a tiny little barn. That thing's pretty huge. Unfortunately, because it is, I think maybe 115 years old, I think, is what Ethan said. It is falling apart, and the people before us did not take very good care of it. But, and this is what I was going to show you guys. The people before us actually built a newer barn after they moved in. This barn was original to the house. So it was built, I think, hey Ethan, the barn was built before the house, right? House was built, okay. So so the barn and the house were built about 6 years apart. Sorry, sometimes I can't remember this information, but Ethan remembers everything about the barn. So, but the house and the barn were original. The barn was built about 6 years after the house. And then, so maybe 7 years later, maybe not that long, I don't know, I'm estimating, guessing. But the people before us built a new barn. As you can see, there's no barn there, there's a hill. It's because in a big storm, I think what they said was a tornado came through, knocked down the new barn, but the old barn stayed totally intact. So we have some people that will not go near the barn because they're sure it's gonna fall. And some people want us to knock it out, but I mean, look at that beautiful. Yeah, so this thing has stood for 115 years, and the newer barn actually fell down shortly after they built it. So I'm okay with going in the barn. It makes lots of sounds like an old barn would, but it does need some repairs. And we got to fix up our house because our house was also a rehab situation. Again, the story behind the people that bought it before us is not very good. They did not like the house, so of course no care really went into it. So we kind of have to pick up from where they left off, which was a pretty crummy place to start. But we have a rock here, willow tree. We're gonna have to cut some of the dead branches down because there's tons of dead branches up there and they fall all over the place during any kind of wind. So we gotta cut those down. But let me take you up to the front. So right now this is currently our dog run. We have 2 mixed breed dogs. Sweet things. We love them to death. But this is where we keep them, in here. And if I can, I might take you guys around to the garden, which of course there's not much left of it. This is our road. We're kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, almost in the middle of nowhere. All the way down there, you can't see it right now in the fog. We've got kind of a main road over there. So it helps since we do a lot of activities outside of the farm, you know, to have a main access there. But we really like kind of being out in the middle of, you know, away from the city, away from the sounds and the noise. So we do enjoy it out here, but it is nice. We built this, I think this past summer, our pallet gate. So yeah, you guys are going to see a huge theme with pallets this year. Because pallets are really easy to pick up. So as you saw, they can do some really cool things. So this used to be the garden. So yeah, really big garden. There's the pole barn. So yeah, this was a huge garden. Unfortunately, due to some physical problems this past year, we weren't able to get much from the garden. It was just really hard to tend to it when there's so much going on. So this year we're planning to do raised beds, and you'll get to see some of that as we go along. So we'll keep you posted as far as how that goes. And hopefully going to build, you know, possibly if we get cattle, we might build an enclosure outside. So you'll get to see that, most likely. It'll be out of pallets. People will just throw pallets away and ask you, almost pay you to pick them up. But, I mean, you can put them to such a good use. So so it's really easy to pick up pallets for free and build something, than go out and spend a bunch of money on lumber when you're just as well off with pallets. So that will be a reoccurring theme. So I think I've taken you around pretty much all the places. So this site is really going to be based off our farm. You might see some things posted by me on some more personal things. But normally it'll be farm related. So yeah, if you're on here to see some makeup commercial, sorry to disappoint. So I will show you that they left us some farm implements. I'm going to show you the new tractor, that was semi-new tractor we got. See, it's Ethan's pride and joy. So it's an 8N Ford. That's about all I know. So, but Ethan does all the work on these tractors and he kind of runs them, and I will hesitate to show you any more of the barn because, as I said, it's a work in progress and right now it's a storage capacity. What?
There used to be another barn over there.
Yep, I did. I showed them that. It fell down before the old one. So we do have, this is our big room. They probably used to keep the farm equipment in here. Huge room. Kind of don't want to show you guys the inside of it right now because it looks pretty terrible, but everything looks terrible in winter, am I right? But, and we've got one room here. Just going to show you a little bit. Yeah, you can see it's a mess. But we've got one room, and then we've got the second room kind of in there, and then you can see the big room in there. So we've got lots of space in here. We could probably have several animals in there. But we're trying to work our way up to that. Like I said a couple times, we're really hoping for some cattle this spring and summer. And you know, maybe someday, if we're lucky and someday we can afford it, we'll get a horse. But that's way in the future. So we've got this. They actually just wanted to leave this here when they moved from that house. And they just wanted us to have it. They had a barn sale shortly before we moved in, and I don't even think that they put that for sale. They just left it in the yard. So we kind of got lucky with that. We have a disker somewhere around. I don't know if maybe it was moved, but we had a old rusted out disker right in the middle of the field here, and they just left it. They didn't want to move it. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. They just figured, you know, you buy the house, you buy that, and you'll take care of it. But you know, hey, it works really well, surprisingly. I don't know how long it's been sitting out there, but I actually think I just found it. So some of these farm implements I'm not super familiar with. I can drive a tractor, drive a truck, I can do all that stuff. I could probably learn the disc, just not super well. So this is the old disker that they left in the middle of the field. So I think it was this one. So you can see it's actually in really good condition, but you can see that some of it is kind of rusted out a little bit. But overall, it's actually in pretty good condition considering how we found it and how it was left. So we kind of count ourselves blessed as far as that goes. Also got one out here, and maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe this is the one that was left, because I know that these are very similar, but I'm pretty sure I think both of them were left. So as you can see, we've got that. We've got two sides of it. You can see that it's just rusted. Oops. It's just rusted out. So we're trying to take care of that and fix that up and get that usable again. And you've got a better view of the cattle fence out here. So yeah, I think, pretty sure this is where they kept the cattle as far as we've heard about it. This is where the cattle were kept. And you can kind of see a field next door, and we have a couple farmer guys around here that buy land around, and then they'll do beans and potatoes every other year. So we know the guy owns that field. He owns a couple of other fields around here, some other farmers that own some fields around here. So it's really cool in the spring and the fall when they're you can watch them plant and then harvest. Of course, fall, you've got a lot of that pollen and chaff and stuff in the air, so allergy season, but it's really cool. It's a great experience. So I think that's about everything around here. You guys can see the old well house. I don't know, maybe this is something. Yeah, well, the old well house. Probably not. Wouldn't want to just leave off on one. So this is the old well house, and no, it did not come in this color. It was an ugly brown when we first found it. But this actually used to be our chicken's old coop. So you can see the trough right there with the compost. But right now we've got this as our wood shed, tool shed. But it actually used to be, our chicken's coop. So I think that was probably the first one when we got like 12 chickens. So we kind of moved up from there. But I think that's about all there is to show you guys for now. Of course, in the spring and the this coming spring, summer, fall, the weather will be much nicer to be able to show you guys around. So definitely stay tuned. Please subscribe. And I hope to see you guys soon and show you some of the other stuff we're going to be doing around here. Thanks.